Uh, do you know why he left Texas and went to New Mexico?
The first time, mostly for, okay, the first time they moved from the Brazos area is they had married, and Mom, let's see, Cornish was the oldest, and Carson, and then Mom. And then little Amy was born in Hagerman, New Mexico, not too long after they moved out there. And Granddad had got somehow, either had bought a livery stable or had contracted with someone who had a livery stable there, and he took his horses, mules, and family and moved out and ran this livery stable in Hagerman. And also was when this was when New Mexico was opened up to homesteaders, and a lot of the ranchers and people would come out and they would homestead a section, which was 160 acres. Mm-hmm. And then they would try to lease around, they'd get 160 acres and then try to get the property around it to lease it, so they would have maybe 800 or 900 or 1,000 acres to run cattle on. But the problem was water. And so Granddad, in addition to running the livery stable, would contract to dig what they call the tanks, the open ponds where they will collect the water, and that was where they would, that's where he was making his living. It was on the Cap Rock, so, you know, they had real hard surface, so but they had an epidemic of anthrax that came through and just wiped out cattle, so there was no demand for that, and then also the horses contracted anthrax. Well, the only way they could survive was whenever an animal got anthrax was to kill it and burn it. So what he did is he kept 2 wagons and I think Mom said 6 or 8 horses or mules. Evidently mules weren't as susceptible to anthrax as the other kids, but anyway. And they still had property back down on the Brazos, you know, that was family property. And so Mom said that they got they salvaged what they could out of the house, and pots and pans and stuff, and they got an old potbelly stove, and they anchored it into the middle of one of the wagons. And the other wagon, they had as much of their possessions as they could. And what they would do is that they would take turns during the day. Some of them would walk, and the others would sit in around the stove, that they would pick up cow chips and stuff and whatever wood they could find, if any, and would keep the stove burning all day and night. And they used that to cook their food on and that. And it took them 3.5 weeks to come across the prairie and down and across back down to the Graham area, and they moved back down there. And then
do you know what year that was?
Huh?
Do you know what year that was?
Okay, Mom would have been 100. Let's see, if she was still alive, she'd be 103, and she was about 10. So that would be
1913.
Yeah. Back in let's see, probably about 1910, 12 sometime. Let's see, Mom was born, no, Mom was 1908. So we're looking about, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere about 1912. This happened. Do
you want to finish eating?
Huh?
Do you want to finish eating?
I'm doing fine. So that was about it. It was the late teens or the early 20s. Because Cornish had been drafted to go to World War I, but he didn't go. It was by the time he got through training and everything and got to the point of deportation while our mistresses signed, and so he came back home.